What impact will this crisis have on society that we aren't paying much attention to or will only manifest after the fact? More accepting of home office. More accepting of citizen tracking. Push to create a less global supply chain for critical items. More spending on pandemic prevention. More governmental and private stockpiling. Huge push for climate change fight because we proved we can use less CO2 in weeks. People more motivated to take responsibility of individual health. One odd and, relatively speaking, minor side effect that occurred to me the other day is that the effect upon mass media, movies, TV, major label music, etc. may become apparent a year from now. If the pandemic continues at this level, as it seems that it will, filming, recording, and production will become more difficult. Large crews of people will be discouraged or outright banned from gathering to work together, travel will be restricted, and investors will likely scale back. Anything that is set to be released soon will still be okay, though this will obviously have an effect upon people going to theaters, since they're already finished or nearly finished with only the final touches left to be done. But anything that was set to be made in the next 6 months or so will either be postponed or cancelled. In the grand scheme of things, it's a minor aspect of the whole world situation right now, but it'll be interesting to see what things are like in that department next year. The entire economy is fairly delicate and most businesses operate on small margins. We lived in a very predictable society that businesses could project revenue and expenditure so finely that one snowstorm could upset retail. With this unprecedented shock, small and mid-sized business could be so compromised and the slow recovery may not be fast enough that they shutter, which could have a massive domino effect. Also, tax revenue from income and sales could be down more than 25%. No one has experienced this before. There is a lot of civil rights issues too in danger of having this used as a precedent to control people for more political ends. I see a lot of wishlist items, work from home more acceptable, better spending on pandemic prevention, etc. But I think the PR machine is working in the background as we speak, getting ready to combat the perception of all of the beneficial/logical things we want. The articles with titles like, "The Downside of Working from Home, Pandemic Prevention Spending Will Bankrupt Smaller Counties, Allowing Stock Buybacks Actually Boosts Worker Benefits," etc. If you work from home, you consume less gas/oil, buy fewer cars, putting money into public works projects takes money away from the massive defense budgets, and on and on. The misinformation campaign is about to get started anew. I worry about anyone who uses something like school or events as a reason for getting away from their home life now doesn't really have the option to go out because things are getting closed down. A lot of people are stay home and quarantine. Well, what about the people who don't feel safe at home? What about the people who feel they don't have anywhere to go? I think many employers will be more open to reasonable access to work from home for people in jobs where this is completely feasible. Companies will be having serious thoughts about their supply chain and perhaps considering that having everything made in one place being not such a good idea. People in Western countries will start wearing masks in public when they have flu/cold symptoms. Cashless payments will become the norm for all but gambling and drug purchases. Hopefully, in first world countries, broadening of the social safety net, entitlements and access to leave for casual/piecework/0-hour staff. For context, I'm in the US. This is pretty dark, but if tens of thousands of elderly people die, there will be quite a few shifts, including but not limited to. Political shift, older people vote in much higher numbers. Losing them will tip certain elections. Social Security and Medicare funding will open up. Asset redistribution, either to heirs or to whichever government entity gets to claim your shit if you die without a will. Seriously, this happens. Look it up. And write a goddamn will. The loss of massive amounts of expertise and life experience. For example, check out the YouTube channel Pasta Grannies. At the present, I can't even imagine what people are going to do after this. We've shut down many businesses and people depending on income from those businesses have zero income. They're going to default on mortgages, credit card, car loans, and at the same time, not be able to afford food/rent/utilities/medical. Those people also won't be paying taxes to fund government welfare payouts. What will happen? I can honestly say that we really don't know what the total impact will have. This will likely worsen mental health issues for many people, especially related to anxiety and depression. Humans are naturally social creatures, and to not be able to take vacations, hang out with friends outside of home, and go to massive events/conventions/etc. will take a massive toll on people. Some college students probably saw their friends for the last time and were blindsided by it. There will be an epidemic of loneliness despite the prevalence of social media. In-person interaction supersedes social media interactions and video calls. It's also likely that we'll see an increasing suicide rate not just due to loneliness, but also due to unprecedented economic fallout. A ton of small businesses and restaurants will not be around a year from now. I'd like to present the flip side of this. I taught English in China for a year not long ago. I don't speak Chinese, I didn't really know anyone there, and I'm not a drinker, so the expat-type bars never held any appeal for me. Basically, aside from a couple connections through work and my few friends back home, I was socially isolated. When I got back, all I wanted to do was spend time around people I could understand, talk to, connect with. It got me out of the house in ways I hadn't before, having been a hermit and cave troll for most of my life. It fell off after a while because that shit can be expensive and I didn't have a lot of luck early on finding work or a place to live. But it's still something I want. I think people will find a renewed appreciation for in-person relationships after having them kind of expressly denied for so long. It could be a really positive thing. The economic fallout will be devastating though, no doubt about that. We're basically just proven that money is not real, it's all a collective delusion. And we are also in the process of proving that most people's jobs don't really matter. So I wonder, after 6 months of people not working and still being able to eat etc., how many people are going to want to jump back into the rat race as a brand consultant or marketing manager? And how many people say, you know what, I enjoy this thing where I spend a lot more time at home with my family. See, most of us are either bitching about working or not working. And do you know what conservatives are doing while this is going on? They're gutting everything. Thousands of people are about to lose their food stamps. Military enforcement of trade rules is going to kill hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East and in South America. Those people aren't going to get needed medicine, which means that this disease will never quite go away. End-to-end encryption? Over. And yet, I haven't seen any news about this.